Hello, and welcome to today's Act 55 of 2022 training. This will be part of a series of trainings over the next few years. Today's topics will include situational awareness, the trauma-informed approach, as well as an emergency training required of all employees. You will start today's training on the following website. This is your school employee safety and security training. Today, you will complete modules 1 and 2 regarding situational awareness and the trauma-informed approach. You also will complete module 1 regarding recognizing concerning behaviors, and I will be providing a slideshow on module 2, emergency training and drills. Referencing module 1, situational awareness, module 2, trauma-informed approach, as well as this module 1, recognizing concerning behaviors. They all have a launch button. When you go to the launch, it will bring you eventually to a page where you will fill in your first name, your last name, your employee role, your intermediate unit, the school entity, and your school email, as well as your PPID. At the end of the training, it will then produce a certificate which we can put into comply. So, again, you will launch module 1, you will complete module 1. You will have a certificate, you will submit it to comply. You will have module 2, you will launch it, you will fill in your information, you'll complete it, and you will have it on comply, as will module 1. We will do module 2 together. So, we will focus the rest of this video on the school employee training, emergency training drills. Both this training and trainings that will be delivered to all school employees is designed to provide administrators, instructional staff, and a wide range of support personnel with critical information and procedures regarding the emergency training drills mandated by the state of Pennsylvania. We will look at administrative matters, session expectations, the Act 55 requirement, and the purpose of the training. This training, again, is related to you through video so that you can pause, return, expand, whatever you need to do to effectively complete this training. As you know, we are fostering a safe environment through these training drills. I encourage you to follow up with administration with any questions. If you have any concerns, you may share them as well as an evaluation at the end. It's important to understand that this training through Act 55 and through the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, PCCD, is committed to ensuring this training remains relevant and at a high standard. The Act 55 requirement training has been approved by PCCD and meets the requirements of Act 55 of 2022. Act 55 of 2022 requires that all school employees have training in emergency training drills. You are here to be provided the tools and resources necessary for you to be able to go into our schools and to effectually execute the training. Drills work best when everyone not only understands what to do, but why we are doing it. Understanding why something is to be done enables people to react more flexibly because they understand the intent of what is being asked of them. When situations do not conform to a typical pattern, as is often the case in an emergency. The training is not meant to be prescriptive. It is not a step by step training on how to conduct emergency safety drills, but it is to provide additional context to the required scope of the training standards. It is to provide you, as the person receiving this, with an accurate picture of Act 55 mandates and standards. You will have the flexibility to execute these exercises within the scope of the mandate. We will be considering all this information in regards to our emergency training drills and any follow-up situational drills. Listed on this slide are the school safety codes and mandates related to this Act 55 training. All these state codes dictate the necessity for this training and so much more with regards to school safety and education. Now, these are all hyperlinks, and you can go to each one as you desire. The regularity and mandate for drills regarding fire, natural disaster, bomb threats, hostage situations, and active shooter events are found within the school code and guarantee practice and performance taking into account emergency and evacuation situations. Within the first 90 school days of each year, we practice an emergency drill. And once again, we will run these drills in every building that we have. So, our mandated drills are emergency preparedness, fire drill, school security drill, and bus emergency drill. You know many of these and you have participated in these. The emergency preparedness drill is held at least once a year, and this would be typically in response to a severe weather or natural disaster. Fire drills, as you know, are held on a monthly basis. This frequency recognizes that despite the understandable attention security threats and catastrophic natural disasters get, it is a fire that presents the most frequently encountered disaster related to school buildings and the students and staff in them. During fire drills, students and teachers are to be instructed in the use of the fire escapes, fire extinguishers, and exits. Additionally, these drills are to involve whole building evacuations to a place of safety outside. A school security drill happens within the first 90 calendar days of the start of the school year, while school is in session and students are present. Note that schools also have the freedom to conduct 2 security drills per school building per year that will replace a fire drill for that given month. School security drills are planned exercises designed to practice procedures to respond to an emergency that may include, but not limited to, an act of terrorism, armed intruder situation, or other violent threat. The chief school administrator must notify and request assistance from local law enforcement and emergency management agencies before conducting the school security drill. Additionally, the chief school administrator must provide advance notice to parents and guardians that the school security drill will be held. Bus emergency drills. It is also important to understand that drills do not solely relate to school buildings. All school entities using or contracting for school buses are required to conduct 2 emergency bus evacuations each school year. The first is to be conducted during the first week of the first school term, and the second during the month of March. These drills teach students how to use emergency exit doors and fire extinguishers appropriately and how to evacuate their buses. Now, why are these requirements important? Well, it's important to run these drills in order for the community to know what we're doing as far as we are being proactive with these drills, and for our students to know how to react within these different scenarios. The different types of drills and how we think about them are reasons why it is so important. Interagency coordination. The extent to which local law enforcement, fire, and EMS may have the resources to engage in detailed site walks and a collaborative preparedness vary from LEA to LEA. But the chief school administrator is required by law to execute and update every 2 years a memorandum of understanding with each local police department having jurisdiction over school property of the school entity. The MOU defines the working relationship between a school entity and the local school police in responding to incidents that occur on school property. It deals with the fundamentals, such as the scope and process for reporting of incidents, which have either a mandatory or discretionary notification requirement to law enforcement, and will also set out how law enforcement is to be engaged in instances where a student has a disability under IDEA. While often not explicit, there's generally an implied requirement that schools and law enforcement and other responders work together to ensure both entities know what they would respectively do in different emergency situations. The full list of who might be involved will vary from school to school and context to context. But in addition to law enforcement, fire, and EMS establishing cooperation and coordination during the preparedness phase with both county and municipal management agencies would definitely be advisable. One final note on the conduct of emergency drills in schools. By their nature, they can create anxiety for students, staff, and other members of our community, particularly so when following a major event that has made the national news or triggers memories of a situation individuals may have been through. As trainers, we need to understand to discuss these issues with our stakeholders in our community, think carefully about how we can encourage and approach the planning and conduct of these drills that recognize they are potentially traumatizing. We can suggest that those experienced trauma approach our school psychologist, counselor, or another trusted individual of staff. One thing we need to talk about is relative to the particular age group and the nature of the school, that students can be empowered, that they can seek help in scary situations. They need to be taught how to help themselves and others. This can help students gain a better sense of control over themselves, even when frightened during an emergency. Framing this through the Fred Rogers quote can be helpful. If you can't rely on Mr. Rogers, who can you rely upon? When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. So, what are the components of an emergency preparedness plan and how it impacts school employees? We'll talk about plans and purposes, what plans should be, plans should ensure, what an EPP structure is, and as well as some final points. Okay, plans and purposes. Our emergency operations plan, our all hazards plan, our emergency response plan, and our emergency action plan. The components of those: prevent, protect, mitigate, response, and recover. Our emergency preparedness plans are known by a lot of different names, but essentially cover the same grounds: prevention and protection. Prepare for and prevent emergencies from occurring. What are we doing that is proactive? Mitigate and respond. The initial response to an emergency event, and then the management of the response through the full containment of any uh, further direct threat. Recover, transitioning out of emergency and dealing with residual risks, and then recovering to a situation where the school can get back to normal and back to the business of educating young people. Note that the way the EPP breaks down the approach into three distinct phases is important for understanding. We commonly see good practice around the world and across sectors when we have structured approaches to dealing with these events that could present a threat to people and to places. Our plans need to be clear, owned, shared, and current. This means that who does what and when. As far as being owned, what are the clear roles and responsibility? Everyone with specific roles and responsibilities must know the details of their given roles and responsibilities. And our plans must be maintained. PEMA, the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, provides extensive guidance to school entities to comply with their legal obligations in developing a comprehensive disaster response and emergency preparedness plan. School entities are explicitly directed to develop emergency preparedness plans that are consistent with PEMA guidelines, and that all first responders, local police, fire departments, county EMS, be provided with a copy of the EPP. Our plans should ensure those who want to explore this important topic more deeply to the Readiness and Emergency Management for School Technical Assistance Center, REMS, is a rich source of training and technical assistance materials. Now, the EPP has three phases: the basic plan, functional awareness annexes, and the threat or hazard specific annexes. There's no doubt that having a standard structure to our EPP, although there will be some variance, conform to the three phases as prescribed by PEMA as a model school emergency operations plan. The basic plan is the core of the EPP, detailing, among other things, planning assumptions, organizational structure and assigned responsibilities, and generalized guidance on how incident response will be directed, controlled, and coordinated. Functional annexes, recognizing that in response to an emergency, there are some things that will always or often happen. Threat or hazard specific annexes, building out the specific functional annexes. The threat or hazard specific annexes will provide the tactical instructions for what will happen in relation to specific emergencies, such as active shooter threats, hazardous material incidences, or severe storms. FEMA's guidelines and examples are directly aligned and developed by FEMA, the federal component, ensuring local context is applied to national good practice. Our EPP will not be shared with the whole school community. And that's an important caveat. We would not want our all components of our EPP in the hands of someone who might have a hostile intent. This could enable them to anticipate how the school will respond, where people will go, what will trigger an alert, and so on. And so be able them to plan around these defensive measures. Safety training, in particular, requires people to situate themselves inside the scenario, placing themselves under a little stress as they visualize what might actually be happening. For instance, when a fire alarm sounds, or they receive notification of a shelter in place or lockdown. Clear takeaways will be part of this training. All school employees should know where to find their EPP and how to find the sections relevant to them. All school employees should know who to speak with if they have concerns or need questions answered associated with the EPP and their role in it. That knowledge and confidence in carrying out individual responsibilities under the EPP will be significantly enhanced through first reading and understanding the plan and then actively participating in our drills. The next part of the training are the components of communications plan and how it impacts school employees. Communication plans. It is good practice, as documented by FEMA and PEMA, that a communications plan is a functional annex found in the EPP. In an emergency, the timely passage of accurate information to people who need information to respond quickly and effectively to contain risk is essential. The communications plan explains how this will be achieved. So, for that reason, every school employee should have an understanding of this plan as they move and may be called upon to be one of the following. Perhaps you are called upon to be a reporter of a threat of some kind of behavior or incident. At its most effective, an EPP should support every member of the school community, from the chief school administrator to those to be alert concerning behaviors or communications and circumstances that more generally might present a risk, and to report these with confidence. Have specific responsibility to communicate information, such as the location and status of people affected by the incident, to ensure those coordinating the response are fully aware of this important information, as it is very likely to influence where a response is directed and the nature of that response. Have a responsibility for the actual direction or coordination of a response. This could be the incident commander, a role we will discuss later, or facilities or transportation manager, who may have a specific role dependent upon the type of emergency, or it could be the individual designated as a spokesman speaking to the media, where the need to have accurate information is paramount. The communication plan merits standalone treatment in this training, and this plan is centrally important to the direction and coordination of incident response management. Without timely and accurate information flowing to the people who need it, the response will be slower, misdirected, and uncoordinated, placing those under threat at greater risk. Components of the plan. For most school entities, PIMA's EPP functional annex on communication provides good practice and structure. It works through the following sections of relevance to school employees in general. First, actions taken before an incident. Actions taken before the incident will optimize the ability of the school and its community to talk to each other, including the need to develop a relationship with parents, guardians, and community stakeholders so that they trust and know how to access alerts and incident information. An overview of internal communication systems include mass notification systems such as a bulk SMS, text, phone, email blast, and the like. Two-way radio communication using predefined channels for different teams. An overview of external communication systems, channels, and protocols, including communications to parents, guardians, the media, noting that much of the responsibility associated with the media engagement will fall on the individual designated as the public information officer. Considering rumor control. A consideration of the importance of rumor control incidents, and particularly those of high consequence, will generate a lot of rumor, and there is a high potential for this to make it quickly onto social media. For this reason, the communication plan should prioritize how factually accurate information should be collated and communicated to external stakeholders, and critically within the school internal groups, including administrators, teachers, students, custodians, secretaries, instructional assistants, cafeteria workers, and bus drivers. How communications will play an important role in the transition and recovery phase after the incident is over and the safety and status of staff and students has been assured and emergency conditions have stabilized. Practicing the plan. Communication plans are effective when they are up to date and they contain important information, see contact information that needs to be reviewed and refreshed on a regular basis. As part of the emergency training drills, the communication plan should be tested, and school employees should reflect on the following. How quickly did I find out something was going on that could have presented a threat to me and others around me? When I received a notification or alarm, was I clear as to what I needed to do next? When I needed more information and needed to communicate with someone about the incident response, could I get that information or could I communicate? If the answer to any of these is no, the communications plan is not working effectively, and our concerns should be raised during the post drill after action review. By the way, if there's no after action communication process, that is also something that needs to be addressed, as emergency training drills serve a purpose, not only in rehearsing action plans, but also in identifying gaps or weaknesses in the planned response that needs to be addressed. The after action review doesn't need to be conducted as an all staff meeting. Options such as email, electric forms, polls can be useful tools for school employees to provide feedback. What are the ABCs of communication? Accuracy, brevity, and completeness. Accuracy. We shall not make assumptions. We will only report what we know to be fact. Brevity. Short and sharp or to the best. Responders and those involved in incident management will be processing a large amount of information under considerable stress. Do what we can to support one another and be as brief as possible. Be brief, but be complete. Don't leave out important details. So, if a school employee is asked to provide information to the ICS, here's some helpful reporting formats. It can be used when giving a verbal or short written report. We want to know what happened and what is happening now. We want to know who's involved in the incident. We want to know why. Why did this incident happen? We want to know when. When did it happen? And is it still ongoing? We want to know where. The location is important. Where did the incident take place? Where might it still be taking place? Was it at a specific location? What? What support do we assess as being needed immediately? And also risks. What are the risks now? And do they present an ongoing challenge or a direct threat or an indirect threat? Impacts. What are the implications if the risks do occur? At all times, when making a report, care must be taken to details, facts versus assumptions or judgments. In most cases, it's just points 1 through 5 that you would be able to give, but if required, would still be of great help to responders who might otherwise coming blind into a situation. Overview of the Incident Command System, ICS. National Information Management System. FEMA's National Information Management System, NIMS, is the strategic framework that enables governmental bodies, non-governmental organizations in the private sector to effectively work together in preparing for and responding to high consequence events. Whether natural disasters, industrial accidents, or major security incidents that present threat to life and property, NIMS provides a shared vocabulary and a focus for all organizations to optimize interagency response. The aspect of NIMS is relevant to you as a school employee and is relevant to the Incident Command System, or ICS. The ICS is the standard approach to the on-scene command, control, and coordination of incidents. In other words, it's a ready-to-go, best practice approach that all schools can use. For those in receipt of emergency preparedness funding, such as the Readiness and Emergency Management for Schools and catalog of federal domestic assistance grants, there is a requirement that the ICS in the receiving school entity so that your school uses ICS fully. If not, the training and tools are freely available to schools through FEMA and is something that schools can elect to use. ICS sets out the advised organizational structure, processes, reporting, and responsibilities associated with incident management. In many ways, it can be regarded as the tactical system that enables the school to respond to and manage an incident while they await external support. This recognizes that, for a while at least, schools will be on their own in dealing with incidents. The ICS is in place to ensure sound decisions are made and a coherent plan is executed. At the point that external agencies, which could be EMS, county or municipal emergency management, agencies, hazmat responders, or other law enforcement arrive, ICS enables an organized transfer of command and control as these external agencies are familiar with ICS, and the system enables the incident commander to transfer responsibility in a rehearsed fashion. This handover will often take place at the Incident Command Post, or ICP, a pre-designated physical location on school grounds that, unless itself is under direct threat, will provide a meeting and briefing point for responders and serve as a physical base of operations for the incident. District level ICS may stay active with duties such as communication, reunification, etc. at this time. Incident Command System. The ICS is the standard approach to the on-scene command, control, and coordination of incidents. In other words, it's a ready-go, best practice approach that all schools can use. ICS sets out the advised organizational structure, processes, and responsibilities associated with incident management. In many ways, it's regarded as the tactical system that enables the school to respond to and manage an incident while they await external supports. This recognizes we're on our own for a while. The ICS relevance to school employees. Within the ICS, two particular aspects are of general relevance. One, the designation of the incident commander. The incident commander is the individual designated by school leadership to manage a specific incident or event. The incident commander is the only ICS position continually staffed through an incident or event, although there should also be clearly designated alternates should the primary individual not be available. Designations of the operations section. The operations section are the small group of individuals assigned to manage response tasks and direct school resources. It's helpful for school employees to know who has been designated and a substantive role in the incident management. All school entities by September 30th of each year will assemble and make ready for immediate deployment to the ICP a physical location. The following information for the purpose of assisting local police and fire departments in responding to emergency include blueprints or floor plans of each building, an aerial photo, map, or layout of the school campus, locations of predetermined or prospective command posts, current teacher employee rosters, current student rosters, most recent school yearbooks, current photos, school fire alarm shutoff location and procedures, school sprinkler shutoff location and procedures, gas and utility line layouts and shutoff valve locations, cable satellite television shutoff location and procedures, other information the school entity deems pertinent to assist local police and fire departments in responding to an emergency. This will generally be stored in a go bag to enable the incident commander to relocate the ICP. The information contained in the go bag is one example of the type of information that will be restricted to a small group of individuals, as it may provide a person with hostile intent with information that they could use against the school. Established at a predetermined location and an alternate in accordance with the school entity's EPP as required under school code to manage the emergency, incident, or disaster. So why is understanding the incident command system important? School personnel are likely to be the first on the scene when an incident occurs on school property or involves school staff or school students. Eventually, school police, emergency medical services, and other external agency management systems may respond to the incident. However, first response will likely be from school employees. They will act as a bridge, conducting initial response activities until first responders such as police, fire, and emergency services can arrive. School employees can manage these initial response activities for an incident more effectively by establishing an incident command. ICS is therefore an important capacity building tool for school employees to quickly take command and control of a potential chaotic situation, or at the very least, be prepared to help save lives and limit property damages. Now, what are some mental exercises that you can do. Let's look at some mental exercises. Okay, we're going to conduct some brief exercises. We don't have time today to examine and compare the PIMA model in full, but we will compare some small tidbits. The purpose of the Emergency Operations Plan is to provide information on how to respond to emergency incidents by outlining the responsibilities and duties of school and its employees. Developing, maintaining, and exercising the school EOP increases legal protection. Schools without an established emergency operations plan may be found liable for their absence. The basic plan outlines approaches to emergency management and operations. It's been developed to assist schools to protect its staff and students during an emergency. The PIMA model, school EOP, is on the left. As you look at the table of contents, what important groups are left out in the version to your right? You may have noticed local law enforcement and fire department slash EMS. Various agencies and services are involved in responding to school incidents, including emergency responders from local law enforcement, safety, fire, emergency agencies, as well as mental health and other important community organizations. Our school EOP includes planning with various federal, state, and local agencies and community service providers to aid in timely communications and response to an incident. In exercise 3, you can see there are job titles and corresponding numbers associated with pages in the overall EPP. We must train our school employees so you can ask, what will you most likely find if you turn to the page that fits your job title? Have you ever read about your assignments and responsibilities within your EOP? Do you know how to access your school or office's EOP? If not, do you know who to ask in order to locate it? As you look through the table of contents, should any other group be included? Why or why not? Should any of these groups not be included? Why or why not? Examining responsibilities. Let's look at one group's role and responsibilities. We can pick teachers for this one. You can ask questions of yourselves relative to the following. What might you find to be more beneficial to teachers, substitutes, and the like? As we review responsibilities of the teachers, what are the critical elements that must be in place to ensure that each of these responsibilities can be met? What systems might be in place within the school to ensure that teachers know their responsibilities and can execute them in a time of crisis? What systems must be in place to report issues or concerns and implement changes if necessary? Should the teacher know the roles and responsibilities of other groups from the previous slides? If so, how would that be helpful to them? If not, why isn't it important to them? A few closing remarks. We hope that you have found this training useful and that it has helped you provide you with the ability to help educate one another within our school community and gain a better understanding of critical information and procedures regarding emergency training drills mandated by the state of Pennsylvania, highlight practices and strategies for the whole school community to see how emergency drills impact the educational environment from the school employee's viewpoint. Again, if you are interested in additional resources, you have these hyperlinks relative to the presentation that has been shared. I want to thank you for your attention and participation in this training.